WBUR Podcasts, Boston.
I'm Daryl C. Murphy, and you're listening to The Common. Summer, hello. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Daryl. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. So you are the marketing manager at Club Passim in Cambridge.
Correct.
Can you tell us about Club Passim for those who don't know?
Yeah, so Club Passim is a folk music venue located in the heart of Harvard Square, and it specializes in folk music, but that is a large genre in the sense that it encompasses a lot of different subgenres, including Celtic music and beyond.
Right on. And you're also the director of the Boston Celtic Music Festival.
Correct. Yes, which just happened almost exactly 2 months ago. In the middle of January, we had our 20th anniversary.
Right on. And you're also a musician yourself playing Celtic music. Am I right?
Correct. You got that. I play the fiddle in a lot of the Celtic scene around here, and the session scene, which we'll talk about. But yeah.
What I'm gathering from this conversation is you're a really big fan of Celtic music.
Certainly.
You must really like it.
Yeah, it is such a passion of mine, maybe more so in the sense that it's a lifestyle at this point, where I moved across the country from California that has a Celtic scene, but it's spread out. Here it's so concentrated in this city that has such a rich history.
Well, Summer, it's St. Patrick's Day, and you seem like the best person to answer our first question. What are a few concerts and cultural events people should have on their radar going into St. Patrick's Day weekend?
Absolutely. The big concerts that are on my radar is the WGBH 12th Annual St. Patrick's Day Celtic Sojourn with Brian O'Donovan, which this concert series has been going on for a very long time. Many people are familiar with his Celtic Christmas Sojourn. This one, we are here focusing on St. Patrick's Day. He's had a couple shows in the past few days for this, but the one's coming up this weekend. We have a virtual one tonight that you can check out at CelticSojournLive.com. But as far as actually attending, tomorrow on Saturday, March 18th, you can go to Sanders Theater to see this event, or the Cabot Theater in Beverly on Sunday, the 19th. And the music director this year is Vermont's own Keith Murphy, as well as musicians such as Nuala Kennedy, Eamon O'Leary, Kevin Burke, Katie McNally, and Neil Pearlman. And so it's just going to be an extravaganza explosion of Celtic music.
You mentioned Katie McNally, and we actually have a bit of music from her trio to play.
But that's not the only one. If you actually want to do some Celtic stuff today for St. Patrick's Day, you can go head down to Canton for the Irish Cultural Center, which is putting on St. Patrick's Day Festival, which is basically a 12-hour-long festival at their beautiful venue in Canton. From 11 a.m. until 11 p.m., there's going to be traditional food, like, the corned beef, cabbage stuff that you love. There's going to be music all day long, live music, songs, vendors, dancing, and then they have a show at 8 p.m. that's titled An Irish St. Patrick's Day with Green Road and Irish soprano Claudia Kinsella.
Yeah, we also have a song here from Green Road. I believe it's their newest single called Belfast Mill.
So that's going to be a beautiful representation of very traditional Irish singing and instrumentation.
What if folks want to do something in the city that's maybe a little low key? Maybe they want to go to a bar or a pub and just listen to some music in that type of atmosphere. You got any places like that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, there are dozens of Irish establishment types of pubs and restaurants here in the Boston area. And a lot of them will hire musicians to host a session, kind of in the corner, mic'd, but as a sort of background element, which you'll see in Ireland. And if you go to some of those pubs, you'll kind of see that. And there will be sessions at several places, like at the Burren, which is in Somerville. So that's going to be Friday night from 9:30 until midnight or beyond. There'll be some music there. Same with on Saturday. So that's kind of in the Somerville area. That establishment, I must mention, is also going full out with their concert series. So be sure to check out the Burren to see what's going on all weekend long. Then there's also the Dubliner in Boston that has some music that's going to be in the background as well, less of a sit-down concert vibe, but they've got a whole lot going on, including some from Boston's favorite Ginty McGrath, singer of great pop kind of Irish songs. David Healy and Callum Bell will be joining them. But if you head over to the Druid in Cambridge, they have sessions where you can just go ahead and get a beer, sit down, have some really good music coming at you. And that is going to be Saturday at 4 p.m. or Sunday at 12 p.m. They're also going to have corned beef and cabbage all weekend long there, but I recommend the shepherd's pie. And if you go over to Emmett's Saturday, there's a session from 3 to 6 and a session from 9 to 12 to midnight, 9 p.m. that is.
We actually have some sound from Emmett's.
Oh, do you now? Yeah, let's check that out.
That's some sound our producer, Franny Monahan, got over the weekend at Emmett's, which is right by Boston Common.
Yeah, I was actually in that session there.
Oh, nice.
You hear all the people in the background. They're just having a great time, and we get people dancing and just loving the vibe that comes out of Emmett's.
Love it. Summer, I want to jump in and ask you something. With Celtic music, from what I understand, it's not just Irish music, right? Like the influence isn't just Irish. Tell me, what can people expect to hear at some of these sessions that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's a great question, Daryl. Sometimes you never really know what you're going to get. There will be a lot of Irish music this weekend, but to the untrained ear, you might not notice a difference if somebody starts playing Scottish music or Cape Breton music, which, as a matter of fact, that recording there at Emmett's, those are quite Scottish tunes, but nobody knows. It's just going to be a great energy, regardless of if it's Irish, Scottish, English, who knows.
We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more from Summer.
Politics has never been stranger or more online, which is why the politics team at Wired is making a new show, Wired Politics Lab. It's all about how to navigate the endless stream of news and information and what to look out for. Each week on the show, we'll dig into far-right platforms, AI chatbots, influencer campaigns, and so much more. Wired Politics Lab launches Thursday, April 11th. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back. With these sessions, right, let's talk about the musicianship of it all. How does this all come together? For example, I was just watching Banshees of Inisherin.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And like they're in a pub and they're jamming at some tables, right?
Right.
Is it going to be like that? How does that work?
Yeah, definitely. So I love that you bring up that movie that does a really fun representation of some of the traditional Irish stuff that we see in pubs. And we will see that in a sense where there's going to be people gathering around a table. It does hold a certain level of study to be able to know the tunes coming into these sessions. But a lot of these tunes are made popular by some of the great bands these days or some of the legends that were some of the early recordings. And so we do tend to share a large repertoire. And Boston itself has its own repertoire in a sense. You go to different cities, people are going to be playing a lot of same tunes that they all know. People who keep showing up to the sessions every week, because I think a couple of weeks ago, some friends and I counted a total of 15 sessions that happen a week regularly here in Boston. So there's a lot of people who already know each other, and then people who come to visit knowing that they know like two people, but a lot of tunes, and then boom, they're sucked in and they never leave.
Mm. And what kind of role does this community music making, what kind of role does that play in Celtic music more generally?
Well, I think it gives that strong representation of folk music, the music of the people who there's that difference of like classical musicians who have their sheet music in front of them. They're learning it very exactly. But here, there's this uniqueness that a musician can bring to their own playing of the same tune. So you'll hear a tune, but then you'll hear it be played in a couple different ways at the same time. And it works. And that level of freedom gives way to a really nice organic nature of the community coming together, supporting each other, listening for those differences and embracing and celebrating them. And that happening so often in the city is kind of way that I think a lot of people put Boston on the map as an epicenter because we have so many young musicians coming up into this scene that's already been established by so many great musicians who have lived here for so long and continue to play. And there's this kind of interchange of experience and people bringing new tunes, writing new tunes, all of that kind of stuff is welcomed here in the Boston scene.
I have a question here. You know, as I'm sitting here, we're talking about this all sounds really cool, but I can't get past the fact that, like, okay, I'm a Black person, right? And I'm wondering, what is the diversity like in these spaces, right? Say if there's someone who might be curious and they want to check out some live music and maybe some different live music from what they're used to, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you talk to me about what they'd expect to see in the crowd or even amongst the musicians?
Yeah.
Is Celtic music becoming more diverse? Has it always been diverse? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's a great question and an important one at it because it's an Irish-Scottish tradition. So it comes from a predominantly white cultures of the British Isles. But as it's been getting into other cities and kind of spreading throughout the world, it is picking up a lot of different people's ears of interests. And with that, there is an ever-growing element of diversification within the scene. Everyone is always hoping for some more diversity because that difference of backgrounds and histories and diversity really helps to make a sustainable and strong community. And so there are more and more people coming in, but definitely whenever I'm at a session and we are playing at the pubs, there is always an invitation that if it pulls you and there's an interest, you are more than welcome to dance, join, ask the questions, get the instrument, share the experience, and we hope for more diversity over the years.
Right on, right on. Would you say that there are similar scenes in other cities, or is Boston just special when it comes to Celtic music?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, I think Boston has this epicenter approach to the Celtic communities of America, but there's several other cities. Chicago has a very strong Celtic community. There's a bit in New York City. There's a growing amount in Baltimore that is really exciting. That's a region where there is a lot more diversity within the scene. There's also a really strong old-time scene there that derives from Black musicians. But without a doubt, Boston holds it down as the leading city in America. And I don't think I'm wrong when I say that.
Right on, right on. If you got it, you got it.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Well, Summer, this has been a pleasure and, very enlightening for me. So thank you so much for taking the time to come to the Common and talk with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's marketing manager at Club Passim and director of the Boston Celtic Music Festival, Summer McCall. And that's our show for today. Thank you so much for listening to The Common. Hey, if you're a Celtic music fan or if you got some plans for St. Patrick's Day weekend that you're excited about, hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok at WBUR The Common. And now, it is that time for me to let you know that The Common is produced by Franny Monahan and Caitlin Harrop. It's mixed by Emily Jankowski, Matt Reed, and Paul Viktis. And it's edited by Ben Brock Johnson. And from the newsroom of WBUR, I'm your host, Daryl C. Murphy. I'll talk to you soon.